Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's having a blessed day. So, when your thoughts and actions become one, that's when you start to bring your dreams and vision into this life. Because our dream is held in the form of thoughts, of ideas. And so when we act upon those visions and ideas and images that we have in our mind, and we take a step closer to that through action, we bring that dream closer to us. And so say if I want to take a step to this next rock, I have to follow my thought pretty much immediately, and to take the next step as I see fit. But a lot of us, we get stuck because we have this thought, we have this idea, we have this dream, we have this vision, but we're not taking steps forward. And so that's where we start to stagnate, that's where we start to feel stuck, is because we have the vision, yet we're not moving forward. And so we're only going to be capable of holding this idea and this vision, and we're not going to get any more ideas. You know, we may get more ideas, but ones that are actually intuitive, that we're actually supposed to do, we're not going to get any next steps until we make that next step. I'm not going to know where to step next until I step to the next rock, because it's not a clear defined path. And so just like life in these river of rocks, there's not always a clear path forward, especially if you're carving your own path and you're doing something new and you're not just following the footsteps of somebody else. Because if you're following the footsteps of somebody else, there's a clear defined path. It makes it very easy to see, this is where I need to go next. And so if there's an instruction booklet on it, if there's a clear how-to on how to do this thing, then there's a good chance many people have already walked down that path. And so I, for one, believe in carving your own path. Because as you start to take those steps, the route seems to disappear. And so that's something you notice when you're stepping into the unknown, when you're chartering a new path towards your vision. And it can be scary sometimes because you don't see more than 2 steps ahead of you. But you know every step that you take, the pathway is going to open up and you're going to see where to step next. But the only way to see where to step next is by taking that next step. And so if we sit in this inaction and don't do anything based on the thoughts and visions and dreams that we have, we're going to stay in the same place just like I am now on this rock. I am sitting here. And so I'm not moving forward. And so for the longest period of time, I had this vision of helping other people. But I just stayed on this rock for years. You know, it's comfortable. I see the next step is there. But, you know, I don't want to take that step. It's a little far away from me. And it's a little scary. And so we don't take that next step. And so we remain stuck in the same place. And it gives us that feeling. It's not only just a physical location. It's also the feeling. You know, it's not just the routine that you may be stuck in. Because before, when I was stuck in a 9-to-5 job, I felt stuck. I just felt this feeling that I wasn't moving forward. Even though I would do things during my life, but it wasn't moving me forward on the path that was uncharted. It was moving me forward on the path that was very well defined. I had to get in my car. I had to drive on the set road that I'm going to use to get to work. And that's a very defined path. And so the key is to start taking those steps. Because when we start taking those steps and we start moving forward, then that path starts to open up. We get new ideas to act on. And so a lot of people tell me, Austin, I'm stuck. But the key is, have you acted on the intuition and the dreams and the visions that you have? Because a lot of us are looking for that magic pill externally to us, but the only magic that's going to happen is when you take that next step. Because it's not going to come from me, it's not going to come from a family member, it's not going to come from a friend, it's not going to come from school, it's not going to come from the news, it's not going to come from any of that. It's only going to come when you take that next step yourself. And nobody else can take that step forward. And so you have to take a step for yourself. And when you finally take that step, you're not going to feel stuck anymore. And so when you take the next step, you start to gather momentum. And when you start to gather momentum, it makes it easier to take the next step. And you sort of garner and gather that velocity moving forward. And so this is key, because the ability in which you can move forward is the speed in which you can act on your thoughts. Because if there's a long pause between when you get an idea and when you actually do it, it's going to take a long time to manifest that dream reality, that vision, that project, that idea. Because you're waiting in between every thought. And yes, we have to plan things and all those different things. I get that. I was the perfectionist. And so I always tried to be perfect before taking the next step. I try to calculate every single angle. Oh, what if I step this place on the rock? Am I going to slide? Should I step there? And then you just sit there analyzing every single step. I hear a lot of different clients that I deal with. I'm waiting till the website gets perfect, and once the designer has the logo, and once I get some feedback on my products, and it's always a waiting game. And so if you find that you're waiting and you've been waiting for a while, there's probably a step that you can take. And that step that you can take is going to move you forward. Because if I step on a rock, on this rock here specifically, and I do slip and fall, I know not to step there again. And so there's always a learning that we can gather. And so for me specifically, I'm super logical minded. My background, engineering, so I want to calculate every single move that I make. But that led me to be stuck for so many years. And so if you're sitting here listening to this and you're trying to calculate every single minute detail of how your vision is going to look like and what the next move is, the key thing is, if you have an idea of what to do next, just do it. Don't make it perfect. Just take that step. And that's the key from this. And so as we start to shorten that distance between the time that we have a thought and we act upon it, we then start to see that we start to live in our dream reality, in our vision. And so that was the thing for me. is I had all these ideas and I wasn't acting on them. But when I started to act on them in a faster manner, and this isn't about rushing, this is just, oh, I have this idea. Because when you're trying to create something, especially build a new life for yourself and do what you love, you're dedicated to that. Because this will not work if you're not dedicated to this. You have to be dedicated to this. And I had to be able to give 100%. Because if I didn't give that 100%, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be able to be free and travel and help people. Because I would still be thinking on what to do next. Oh, what should I do for my website? What should I do for this logo? What should I do for the packaging? You know, I failed 2 businesses because I was stuck. I didn't move forward. And secondly, it wasn't connected to my passion. And so the key for this is when you have an idea, you act on that. And so the key is to unionize action and thought. And when you start to unionize action and thought, and when they start to become one, everything just starts to appear and manifest so much more quicker. And that's the key. And so moving into this next month, it's key to look and think about what is the thing that I know I can do and take that next step, even if it's scary. And so let me know whatever that next step is for you, and so that you can hold yourself accountable, and so you can take that next step. Because that next step is going to start to open up the pathway for you. And it leads directly to your vision and to your dreams. Peace and love, everyone. Take it easy.